Hey up, Sofa Squad, and welcome back to another edition of On the Sofa. And with me this evening is Purple Runs with Orange.
Hello.
Not, no stall as yet, but it's early days, and we've got Hans in the chat.
For being very stable, he's kind of erratic.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Hans is asking, do I get some sofa points for being first? Yes, you can have 10 sofa points. Can't say fairer than that. So, my list is not as long as it usually is.
Okay, so we've got to drag the points out today.
Maybe, but we'll see how we get on, because even though the list is not as long as it usually is, they're quite the stories on the list are quite big, if you see what I mean. Well, you will do us, I think, as we as we get on. I think the first thing to talk about is Trump. He's been permanently banned from just about everything, and he's been impeached. The first president in history ever to be impeached twice.
So he's got a new bragging point.
Yeah.
He's been impeached as much as all previous presidents combined.
Yeah. Exactly. That's one historical first for him in that sense, albeit a dubious one. But he was always going to be impeached. I think that was inevitable. But the question is, will he be removed?
Well, he's not going to be removed just because Mitch McConnell is going to prevent the Senate from voting on it. So there won't be a vote in the Senate until after Biden is installed and all the new Senate representatives are installed.
Yeah.
However, they can still level punishments on him after he's out of office. So the biggest thing that everybody's pushing for is after the new Senate's installed, which will then be a Democratic majority, they can make sure he can never hold a public office again.
Yes, that's what I've heard. And it sets a precedent, doesn't it? That future presidents won't be able to get away with inciting insurrection.
Well, and that's why they absolutely have to do it.
Yeah.
But as far as a precedent, the thing of him, even being impeached after he's out of office, there is a precedent for that. Now, I'm horrible with names, but there was a Secretary of Defense who wound up being impeached after he had resigned.
Okay.
So, yeah, there is already a precedent on that as far as what they can do, even if they're no longer in office.
Yeah. But do you watch the David Pakman show on YouTube?
No.
Well,
I don't know him.
He was reporting that Mitch McConnell is actually quite happy with Donald Trump being impeached.
Mitch McConnell is talking out of both sides of his mouth so he doesn't lose support. Because he's saying, yes, he supports impeaching Trump, but he also blocks the Senate from voting on it. So what does that tell you?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, he's always been two-faced, hasn't he?
Yeah. If he was really in support of the impeachment, he would be rallying everybody who supports him to push a vote through as fast as possible, and he could have them voting on it yesterday.
Yeah, and Hans is saying, Phil, the next time one of his sons would be the Republican candidate.
It looks like Ivanka has been putting out feelers for that.
Yeah, she has, hasn't she?
Yeah. I've really thought all along that Ivanka's the puppet master running everything. I think she's the only one in the family smart enough to do it.
Yeah, you've said that before. Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at things.
Well, and it's clear that she's fully aware that all her life that being pretty and having the Trump name has been all that she has needed to manipulate all sorts of men to do whatever she's wanted them to.
Especially her father.
Yeah. And that's really creepy.
Yes.
On both sides. And that's, people think it's creepy of Donald Trump, but I think it's equally creepy of her because she obviously encourages it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And okay, maybe when she was younger or teenager, she might not have realized it, but at this point in her life, she's got to be fully aware of it, and she continues to do it.
Oh yeah. So
Excuse me.
we could see Ivanka Trump making an appearance in the primaries 4 years from now. But will she win the primaries? That's the question.
I think at this point, we really can't predict anything because the future of the Republican Party is really teetering right now.
Yeah. I think there could be a split in the Republican Party between those who want to distance themselves from the Trump crime family and those who are going to remain loyal to the Trumps.
Yeah, it's looking like that could very much happen. I think that would be excellent because if the Republican Party splits in half, it would probably give the Democrats about a decade to try and repair the damage.
Yeah.
Because if the Republican vote winds up being split for the next couple of elections, it means we should get mostly Democrats elected.
It could be another generation before a Republican we see another Republican president because of all the damage the damage that Trump and his family have done.
Right, and that's the problem is that more than 10 years from now, a couple of election cycles, it's impossible to predict which side of the Republican Party will wind up coming out stronger. Will they wind up being the somewhat more rational ones, or will they wind up being, the racist fanatics?
Well, this is it. I mean, it always seems to be the people with the loudest voice who end up leading. Yeah, that's my experience of things. Anyway.
Well, I think with the Republicans right now, the question comes to, is it going to be the people who actually think they need to stand up because they're threatened, or is it going to be the people who are too scared to stand up?
Yeah.
Because even some of the Republicans in Congress are using as an excuse that, they've continued to go along with Trump because they felt their families would be threatened.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you realize these people are a threat to you, giving in to them is never going to accomplish anything. It's never going to make you safer.
Well, exactly. But I suspect they know where a lot of bodies are buried. In some cases, perhaps literally.
Well, I'm sure that's the case for most of the congressional representatives who didn't want to vote for the impeachment.
Yeah.
Because they're worried that, it means when they run for re-election, they're not going to get the support of other members of the party, and therefore they're not going to get as much money for their campaigns.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they don't want to lose the current status quo, do they? And they're worried that if they turn on Trump, they could lose. They could lose their jobs.
Well, and that's not just Republicans; that's all the politicians.
Well, yeah.
The fact that the Democratic National Committee backed Biden instead of one of the more popular candidates just proves that they were more concerned with preserving the status quo than they were with actually winning the election.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think then that if someone like Bernie, for example, had become the candidate, do you think the Democrats would have, why do you think they would have won easier than they did?
Oh yeah. If they'd put Bernie up there, he's got the public support. I'm sure he would have won by a much wider margin. But the Democratic National Committee would not support Bernie because he actually is not a Democrat. He has actually been in Congress as an independent candidate.
Yeah.
And that scares the shit out of them because they're afraid that on some important piece of legislature, he would actually do the right thing instead of towing the party line.
Yeah, exactly. But
that's just the risk the major parties are not willing to take.
Yeah. And
somebody who might stir things up and actually might help the individual citizens rather than the major corporations that give all the lobbying money.
It was the same with Jeremy Corbyn. He did not get a fair hearing from his party whatsoever. If he is someone like Bernie who wanted to genuinely wanted to make a difference and help people, but unfortunately the Labour Party, like the DNC, were having none of it. And it's come out now that certain members of the Labour Party did all they could to actually hinder Jeremy Corbyn and undermine his chances of becoming prime minister and undermine their own chances of winning the election because they didn't want him to be prime minister.
Yeah, they don't want to risk any shift that could actually change the way the politics are done.
Exactly. And now it's a mess because unfortunately what has happened, you've still got a lot of MPs who are there who are there because of Corbyn basically and are still loyal to him. And there's a split in the Labour Party now, between people who who are still loyal to Corbyn and people who are who'd rather not have him around. So yeah, it's a bit of a mess. And as a result, there's not an effective opposition to the Conservative Party, at the moment.
Well, at least you have more than two parties over there.
Yes.
I know effectively, they're not all equally powerful, but
Well, this is a double-edged sword, because what has happened in Scotland is that the Scottish National Party dominates, are dominating at the moment. So if the Labour Party want to get into power, they're going to have to do some kind of deal with the Scottish National Party, in order to command any kind of majority. And hi Ricardo, hi. Welcome. So anyway, yes, it's a bit of a yes, we've got more than two parties, but it makes things difficult for the opposition.
yeah, but that's what I see as the biggest advantage to having, like, say, five parties, is that, they can't just do everything just their way, that they need to be able to form some alliances and some coalitions in order to construct a majority.
Yeah.
So you don't have one party just, running rampant and just forcing everything their way because they won the last election cycle.
Yeah. That's it. Anywho, Parler, I noticed Parler's been taken offline completely now, and it doesn't look like they're going to be able to come back.
I had heard something that they were trying to, connect through some other platform. I'm not sure. I haven't paid too much attention to it because, honestly, I barely knew what Parler was.
And well, for those who may not know, Parler is the kind of right-wing version of Twitter. It's kind of a right-wing alternative to Twitter, or it was. And that's where many right-wing tweeters who were getting banned from Twitter for being fascist, basically. They went over to their safe space. But
yes, the ones who are always whining about, why do lefties need safe spaces?
Yeah. And we've got Gurmania with us as well.
Hey, Gur.
He's saying, "Hey there, black sofa and purple rhymes with orange." Yeah. Well, welcome. Thanks for joining.
Gur does some interesting rants if you haven't followed his channel.
I've only recently discovered his channel, actually, and because quick plug. I was looking for a video to respond to, and I typed in questions for atheists, and his video came up, and he actually posted it about 2 years ago. 10 questions for atheists from an atheist. So I thought I'd have a go at answering them myself, and so that video is out there. I published that on YouTube earlier today, and so yes, it's out there now.
Yeah, I saw it in my feed there. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
Cool.
So it's in my list. I'll probably, be able to watch it after midnight. Well, no,
Brilliant.
not tonight because I'll be doing my show at midnight tonight.
And he's saying, I appreciate your response. That's why I'm here, actually, from subbing to your channel. Oh, yeah, yes, I did notice that you subbed to my channel. Yeah, and I really appreciate it. Welcome to the Sofa Squad. You're welcome. And
yeah, I hadn't
sorry,
really planned on doing any response videos on my channel, but I think things like that, responding to other atheists, I might do. I don't really want to be getting into the arguments with, theists or flat earthers or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Hans is saying, thought Mastodon was the Twitter alternative, but don't exactly know many on the right wing. Okay, there's a new one on me. But and of course, hashtag Sofa Squad.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with what Mastodon is. I only have the reference to the woolly mammoth.
Yes, exactly. But apparently, going back to our news story, there was a lot of people, what's the word I'm looking for? But they, there was a lot of insurrectionist talk and talk about another Capitol Hill happening, and armed protests in every capital city around the United States. And
I have heard of quite a few of them. I don't know how many states it's been going on in.
Yeah, and so Google were first to make the decision to take Parler off of Google Play, and then Apple, took them off their platform as well, and they've been taken off Amazon's platform.
Yeah.
So they don't have any web presence at all now. So and I think that's the right decision.
Part of it is that people don't really understand the technology because they still have a web presence if you just open your browser to them.
Yeah.
The main thing it's hampered is that people, may not be able to access them easily on mobile devices.
Yeah. But I think they made the right decision because you can't have incitement. That's the word I was looking for. You can't have people inciting violence.
Yeah. Well, obviously Parler is doing nothing to even enforce their own terms of service.
Yeah.
So something has to be done, and other companies really should be worried that some degree of liability could be thrust back at them if they don't, restrict this.
Yeah, this is it. And I mean, you could argue this is a free speech issue, but there's free speech, but not freedom from consequences.
And no, it is not a free speech issue because the government is not involved in this. Private corporations are perfectly within their rights to decide what happens on their property.
Yeah, this is it.
And on the internet,
exactly.
That means that it's whatever their service is.
Yeah.
So even like Twitter canceling Trump's account, it's like any other business. If you go into a bank and you're not willing to comply by their rules of how people conduct themselves, they can have their security guard push you out of the building.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that's all that's happening. This is not a free speech issue.
No. Exactly. And
especially the people whining about Trump's account being canceled is absurd, because he can call a press conference and within 10 minutes, every major news outlet will have a TV camera pointed at him.
Exactly. Yeah.
So he's not being censored.
No. And I believe he can still use the White House official account, can't he?
Yeah.
At the moment.
Yeah, the President of the United States account is still up.
Yeah. So for the next 4 days at least, or was it 4 or 5 days at least, depending on what side of the Atlantic you're on,
Yep.
he can still use use that one. He can still use the official White House Twitter account.
Yeah, he doesn't like using that one because there are restrictions on how he's allowed to use it.
Yeah. But he's not silent. He's not silenced completely. Is the point I was trying to make.
Yeah. No, he can still make official announcements, and he can still comment on whatever legislation is being pushed through.
Yeah. And I noticed that one of the senators, there was one lady who had a face mask with censored printed on it.
Yeah, she's been getting ribbed constantly for that, as well she should be.
For this is beyond parody.
Yeah, you can't be claiming you're censored when you're showing up on the nightly news every night.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I don't think she knows what that word means. Oh.
I think she knows what it means. She's hoping that most of the people who voted for her don't know what it means. Yeah. So she's trying to stage a scene because she assumes that most of the people she represents are idiots.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Which the people who voted for her really should be insulted by this.
Yes, they should. Yeah, they should. But unfortunately, they're too ignorant to realize they're being insulted. And Ricardo is saying banks can cancel your bank account without notice. It's called manage out accounts.
Yeah.
I've done it hundreds of times.
Yeah. If you cause a scene in the bank lobby, all they need to do is mail you a check for whatever was in your account and be done with you.
Yeah, exactly. And that is not cancel culture. And he goes on to say, capitalists have a way of not liking free markets when it's not going their way.
Yeah. Well, and I think that kind of sums up the Trump supporters. It's like, they envision a certain type of government, that's supposed to let them have free speech until someone speaks against them, and is supposed to restrict the opposition until they become restricted.
Yeah, exactly. And Jacob Chansley, aka Jake Angeli, the Buffalo Man from the Capitol Hill riots. Apparently, his mum says he hasn't eaten since Friday because the detention facility won't feed him all organic food.
And unfortunately, in our screwed up system, apparently he has won that, and apparently the jail has to provide him organic food now.
Because he needs a shamanic diet.
I'm not sure of the details, but I wouldn't be surprised if they pushed it through as, being a religious requirement or something. Because there already was a precedent for that, prisons had to like feed people a kosher diet, or not give Muslims pork products, that type of thing, because it would be infringing on their religious liberties.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that's what's happening. He's saying that he's a shaman, so he needs a special shamanic diet, which requires him to have all organic food.
Yeah, I'm sure that he is not a shaman by any stretch of anyone who understands what that word means either.
No,
I would
but
expect he probably claims he's a shaman because he's gotten high and had visions.
yeah, that's probably more likely.
But just because you hallucinate because you got a batch of bad weed, that doesn't make you a shaman.
No, exactly. Hans is saying it's weird. Denying a homosexual couple a cake for marriage is okay. Rejecting someone access to Twitter is bad.
Yeah.
You can't have it both ways.
But they always think they can.
Yeah.
The evangelicals always think that they should have their religion protected, but if somebody else needs something because of their religion, shit on them. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't see them supporting any of the things. I mean, they fight against women who feel they need to wear the hijab because it's their religious practice.
Yeah. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, it's okay when it's convenient for them.
Yep.
But when it becomes inconvenient for them, they throw a hissy fit.
Okay, Ricardo says he's seen a stream where the shaman guy says he speaks with aliens.
Yes, I was just about to tap on that. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's interesting. Of course, he was holding up that sign saying Q sent me. So I'm not fully au fait with what with what the Q people believe, but they they believe some interesting things, don't they? To say the least.
Shorthand, if it's nuts, the Q believe it.
He also claims he's seen a meat freezer with human bodies hanging from hooks. Interesting.
Yeah, part of the real problem with the whole QAnon thing is even things that have been factually disproven, like the Pizzagate, they continue to believe in.
Yeah.
It was proven that the building didn't even have a basement, but they still believe that. They still believe that whole conspiracy that the Clintons were keeping children as sex slaves in the basement of that building.
Yeah. I mean, when Alex Jones denounces you and calls you crazy, you've got problems.
Yeah. When you start getting too nuts for the evangelicals, you've really gone a bit too far.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, this is a story that would have been more Stall's cup of tea. But I'm not sure if you'll be interested in this or not. But Nigel Farage, are you aware of him?
I know the name, but yeah, I don't really know much about your political situations there.
He's good. He's good friends with Trump, and he's on the same side of the political spectrum as Trump. And he was the he was the leader of the Brexit party,
Yeah.
but it wasn't really a political party. It was actually registered as a business, and it's been shown, by somebody did an expose. I can't remember who it was, but somebody did an expose on him, showing that it's dodgy. Basically, he's getting dodgy donations for it. Oh, hang on. His Ricardo was also saying about Buffalo guy that he's part of the queue that claims that the world is in fact run by two computers, one in Austria and another in Utah. Some of them claim lizard people run these computers. Others that it's a baby eating elite. It's the baby eating elites.
Well, the thing about the two computers sounds like somebody watched the Colossus trilogy and decided it was a documentary.
All right, I haven't heard of that actually.
Oh, it was a series of sci-fi movies from the late 1960s.
Okay.
That basically the Americans had invented the supercomputer that was going to help them run everything.
Mm.
And when it came online, it detected that the Russians had built their own supercomputer. And the two computers linked together and formed a common consciousness, and decided that the reason the world was so fucked up was because humans were incompetent. So the two computers decided they were going to run the world.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It does sound like they've been watching those films and other sci-fi films as well.
Well, you see that a lot of their talking points are just elements from sci-fi movies.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Nigel Farage. So yeah, he's a grifter basically, and now that Brexit is pretty much done now, he needs to keep the grift going somehow. So he's starting a new party, and called, I can't remember what it's called. But
what do you think was his motivation for pushing the Brexit?
Money, basically. It was a huge grift. It was a way of and probably fame, and fame and notoriety, and he preached a message that people's ears were itching to hear, and to get them to donate to his business, his fake political party.
Yeah.
And so Brexit is yesterday's news. So his new party is all about anti-mask and anti-lockdown, and again he's making the right noises to get to attract people.
Yeah. I've said I should have started a Woo channel. I could have been selling bottles of colored water for $100 a crack.
Yeah. Ricardo is saying money. He needs to shore up his investment fund, which is probably true. There's probably a lot of truth in that, I expect. But his latest thing now is that he, as well as being anti-lockdown, and he wants to he's going to launch a party in Scotland as well, to promote the case for union, and to in other words, to try to persuade the Scottish people to stay part of the United Kingdom.
Right. Okay. What, Scotland wants to separate so they can go back to being part of the EU?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I did read something on that.
Yeah. But like I said earlier, the Scottish National Party, or the SNP, are very strong in Scotland, so he's got no chance. In fact, it'll probably strengthen their case for wanting to leave the United Kingdom to get away from him. Yeah, but it's another grift. It's just it's just more grift. Grift is going to grift.
Yeah. Yeah, religion and politics are profitable if you know how to spin the stories.
Yeah. Here, I'm just trying to bring up the the relevant article here. Yes, I think I've got it. Let's see if I can share the screen. Yeah. So yeah, this is from the European. Pollster warns Nigel Farage's new political outfit will split Scotland's unionist vote. And basically, hand a wing to the SNP, basically. First Minister of Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon, addresses the People's Vote March in London. That's the photo. Despite vowing to make the case against Scottish independence, Nigel Farage's new party could make it tougher for unionist parties in the Holyrood elections, a pollster has warned. Professor Sir John Curtis has said that the new Reform UK party, that's the name of his party, the new Reform UK party in Scotland will be targeting Tory voters who backed Brexit in Scotland, making it harder for the Conservatives to retain their position as the official opposition. He told The National more Leave voters vote Tory than anything else, so the Tories are the ones which will be least happy. So, yeah, that's there's another story here which I want to share as well. Nigel Farage launches new party in Scotland to promote positive case for the union. Nigel Farage has said that his new party, Reform UK, is now up and running in Scotland, with the appointment of former Tory MSP Michelle Ballantyne as the leader north of the border. And so there you have it. Yeah, he wants to. I read elsewhere that the other agenda for this new party is to fight against woke culture. Whatever that is.
Yeah. Anytime somebody uses the word woke, it's pretty much, this is going to go down the rabbit hole real fast.
Yeah. And so that's the Nigel Farage story. Anything you want to add?
No, I don't feel I know enough about it to really say anything.
Okay, fair enough. There's there's another story as well on this side of the pond. But I think I'll leave that one. 'Cause it's quite technical.
Yeah, might be best to save it for next week when you've got Stool here.
Yeah. Okay, so going back to your side of the pond, and someone, I don't know if you saw this story, so apparently someone carved the word Trump onto the back of a manatee.
Yeah, I saw that.
Hmm.
Now, to be fair, that has been sensationalized a bit.
Okay.
Um, it's not. They didn't like actually make the animal bleed or anything like that. That manatees are normally covered with a layer of algae that grows on their skin. So
Yeah.
basically, it looks like all they did was scrape off the algae and the dead skin. So,
All right.
the
Yeah.
animal was not seriously harmed, aside from the fact of whatever trauma of somebody holding it in place to do this, which also to me means that this had to be more than one person because you basically had to have someone to hold the animal in place while somebody was scraping it.
Yeah. Um.
But yeah, that it's still subjecting a wild animal to unnecessary trauma.
Yeah. It's animal abuse,
Yeah,
and
and they really are the most peaceful, inoffensive animals you could imagine. They
yeah,
just float around and eat seaweed. They don't bother anyone.
yeah, exactly. I don't know if you can see that clearly, but there's the picture of the poor creature, and that is more evidence, if any evidence was needed, that this is a cult we're dealing with.
Yeah, it seems, even if somebody was going to do graffiti on an animal, that seems a really strange thing to put there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is it's bizarre.
It,
And
it really shows that, at least some people have taken supporting Trump to the level of him, being a religious figure.
yeah, exactly. Um, the article reads: the sighting in Florida this week of a manatee with Trump in block letters on its back has prompted an investigation and a plea for help from a non-profit conservation group. The Center for Biological Diversity has said it was offering a $5,000 reward for information leading to a conviction for the cruel and illegal mutilation of a threatened manatee in the, I'm going to butcher this word, Homosassa River in Citrus County on Florida's Gulf Coast. So there you have it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, unless a witness comes forth with photographs, I don't see how they could, ever arrest or convict anyone for it.
No, unfortunately, it looks like they're going to get away with it.
I just, again, it seems really strange and kind of pathetic that this is the way somebody would choose to put their message out.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You
But anyway, I've got a final story that will cheer us up.
Okay.
It's a dog-related story, and so I'll just share this with share the screen, and it's a real heartwarming story. This one. Yeah, here we go. Paralyzed rescue dog dumped in rubbish tip never stopped smiling after finding forever home. Nice pun there.
Yeah.
Tibetan Terrier mix Benji was found in Romania in a sorry state, having been almost beaten to death before he was rescued. With a broken spine, the pooch was clinging to life in a rubbish tip before he was found and taken for specialized veterinary 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 I can't say that word, vet care. Benji underwent a double amputation in a bid to give him the best possible chance of independence and has since been adopted. Owner Philippa Essen, 44, had watched Benji's recovery online through Flores Friends Rescue Charity, who rehome abused and neglected animals throughout Europe. And when his first UK adoption fell through, she knew she had to give him a new home. See, there's how he was. That's how he was found.
And I hope there's some security camera so they can identify who put him in the dumpster.
Yeah, he's hoping. The mum of three said Benji is such a happy boy, and he's actually always smiling. He's so friendly, and he loves his life on his wheels. And there he is.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yep. They gave him a little wheelchair so he can run around.
Yeah. There's Benji with his wheels. So there's a nice feel-good story to finish on.
Yeah, that's good.
So I think we'll leave it there. Thanks for coming and joining me this evening, Purple.
Well, I like to whenever I can. There's 6-hour time difference between us, so that usually makes it difficult, but
yeah. And thanks to those who tuned in.
Yeah, just most weeks I'm not even off of work by now.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, you were saying, before.
Yeah, it's just going on 5 o'clock here now, so
yeah.
I should have still been working.
Okay. I appreciate it. And before we go off the air, if I can find my voice again.
Well, in 4 hours, I'll be coordinating with the other side of the planet. That I'll be on with Jen's Little Corner from Australia.
Okay, that's cool. Yes, if you want to support this channel, you can become a patron. You can become a patron, and there's a link in the description box. Down below, and I think there should also be a link to my Discord. Also, and on Discord you can make video suggestions and promote your own channel and promote your own Discord and just chat with other people as well. So it's good. It's good. So yeah, join my Discord, and please consider becoming a patron, of this channel. And so yeah, if you're new, do subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss another video. Okay, bye for now.
Bye bye.